All right. Thank you so much, sir, for that session once more. And we'll be going over to the next speaker for today. Our next speaker is Mr. Olariwaju Babatunde. He is the lead strategist at Futos Agri-Consult Limited, a private agricultural extension firm that provides support to smallholder farmers and aggregators to achieve certifications such as Global Gap, HACCP, and ISO 22,000, among others. He'll be facilitating the session on demystifying export regulation. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, sorry for that. Uh, Quality control in exports. So I talked about and referred about that quality control. And what we will talk about quality control, we say is a process that business use to ensure that a product or services are adhered to a predetermined set of quality standards. So for every product you want to export to any country you want to export it, there are set of guidelines that actually ensure that the product comply with a standard, which is quality standard. So for you to ensure to achieve quality standard, you need what we call the quality control. So those process and activities you do to ensure that it meets a quality standard is quality control. Okay? So, and why is quality control very important? One key thing is that market access and compliance. There are some markets you need to get into. They've already stipulated their standard, so you need to actually meet that standard. And when you meet that standard, you can actually get access to that market. And also sometimes it's to ensure consumer safety and satisfaction. For instance, when we talk about quality, is what you can see with your eyes is what we call quality. I can see that this product is actually red in color. I can see the shape is good. I can see that it is ripe. I can see the color. I can see the shape. I can see the sizes. When a food is rotten, you can see that it's rotten. Different grade of product A, B, C, you can see how it looks like. So when also to ensure consumer safety, and when a food is spoiled, when you can see that it's spoiled or you tasted it, is also part of quality. Quality is also tasting, and you see that it's not tasting nice. So that could actually protect consumers from taking something bad. So higher pricing, yes, like when you see tomato, they are being graded, even grains are being graded, to also ensure higher pricing and also brand reputation. And when you talk about when it's quality control done, its quality control is ensured throughout the production activity, the cycle from production to logistics. That is where you need to ensure that quality is controlled at these different stages of value chain. So I will just pick randomly, maybe just 2 or 3 of the 2 points on the value chain, especially in production. See, production is the major, is very, very important, because if quality control is not implemented at production, certain food safety issue could occur. And when certain food safety is occur, for instance, you exceed the maximum residue level, maybe let's say for chlorpyrifos, which they reduce the maximum level to from 0.05 to 0.01 milligram per kg for EU if you're exporting to EU. And during production, you didn't put the quality measure into place by ensuring good agricultural practice in terms of fertilizers and the likes. What happens is that the output you get, it becomes unexportable, so especially if you are exporting to European markets. So it's very important to implement your quality processes. And also, when you are having maybe collecting product from 3 to 4 or 5 different farmers, it is your responsibility to ensure that the quality consistency is ensured from farm A to farm B to farm C to farm D. And if this is actually, that's what we call the quality management system. If you put in place quality management system, you get a better output. And let me talk also with regards to logistics and transportation. Now, to ensure quality consistency, the way you transport your product matters a lot. Very, very important. Look at the first truck. The first truck, they are transporting, let's say, cocoa in the jute bag. Now, this is raining season. You are transporting cocoa, and and rain starts. One key thing is that it will increase the moisture of the dry product, and one key thing that it start deteriorating, and when deteriorating, the quality has reduced. So you need to implement quality when you are transporting your product. Even if you are even doing a cold chain management, especially for fresh fruits and vegetable, maybe you are doing a frozen vegetable, it's important for you to actually implement this quality control at this. And how is quality control implemented? I said one key thing is you have to develop a quality management system or assurance system, and it involves the SOPs, regular inspections and monitoring, and also checks. Because as you move your product from production to your storage, to your maybe pre-cleaning, to your final bagging, to your permanent storage, to transportation, to the shipping line, all at every point you need to product is going to be exported. One key measures they put is quality check. Apart from quality check, testing. Does it meet with the moisture content of the importing country? What is the debt percentage? What is the percentage of this? What is this? That is one thing to ensure that yes, you are ensuring quality assurance. You are making sure that the quality is consistent. And also traceability system is very, very important. Quality comes also traceable. You must be able to trace your product from where it's coming from and where it's going back to. And that is one key thing. Now in the EU, now by 2025, they are saying every product being exported to EU must have traceability system, because they want to know where every produce comes from. They know it's coming from Nigeria. Where from Nigeria is it coming from? Who is producing it? What type of chemical were used to produce it? So they want that traceability, which is becoming a big topic in the EU, that you see the consumers are requesting for it. The consumer want to know who is producing their food and what activities they are using. And so when you know all these things, the quality you have put in place. And one example also is that for your quality control, there are some document that is expected for you. I mentioned of the SOPs. Now, your standard operating procedures, you have developed it maybe for your warehousing. You've put measures in place, and one of the key things also is to have the required document for export. Because if you don't have the required document for export, you cannot assure an importer that you have done the right thing. And that is why it's very important for you to have the export registration certificate, your phytosanitary certificate. This is important for them to know that there are no live pests in your produce, certificate of quality, fumigation, certificate of origin, health certificate of processed food item, and also test certificate, especially for salmonella and aflatoxin. And this is very also important because your importer or the person that wants to buy from you wants to be sure that you have verified it. But many of the importers, after you've exported to them, even at the port of entry, they take some samples to actually carry some tests on them, especially if it's the EU, you have sent it to all. North America, you get some tests being carried out, and those tests you see they have already salmonella, E. coli, depending on the product. MRL is very important. That's the maximum residue level, because there are some chemicals that must not be traceable or must not be found in your product, especially heavy metals. If you're having heavy metals of maybe 0.05 milligram per kg, they know that product needs to be, to be rejected. So And that is why your quality management system must be strong enough. And if it's not strong enough, that's the biggest problem for you. So, and when we talk about this standard or regulations, we talk about the quality control and the like. So we want to go to quality standard. When we talk about standard, actually there are majorly two standards. It's either it's a mandatory standard or you want standard. For me to sell in ShopRite on the shelf, I need to have NAFDAC. It's an involuntary or mandatory standard. In these particular countries, there are some specific requirements you have to meet for you to even, for your product to enter into the market, into their country. But voluntary standards are not really mandatory. Voluntary are things that your buyer specifically wants. For instance, your buyer is looking at a niche market, and you know that even if the product comes but is not organically certified, it might not be able to attract a niche market. That is what a voluntary standard is. More of to show your commitment to sustainability, to show your commitment to biodiversity, to show your commitment to climate change and the likes. So that is where voluntary standard come. But involuntary standard or mandatory standard is keenly for food safety, is keenly for what will not have an impact on their national security. So it is very mandatory for even your product to enter. So your product can enter into a market if you actually with involuntary standard. But if you comply with voluntary standard and not comply with involuntary standard, it is very hard to actually enter into market. But in the recent times, what most voluntary standard now do is that most of the voluntary standard or requirement, when they are developing it, they now tend to include involuntary standard or requirement into their standard, so that when you are meeting up voluntary standard, you are also meeting up involuntary standard. So these are some examples of mandatory or standard, like phytosanitary certificate. It's very mandatory for you to actually have the certificate before you produce, before you export, your packaging, your food safety, and the likes. And these are some of the examples of the requirements, mandatory standard for some product before it leaves Nigeria. These are key things that they need to know, that your product meets this standard or this country that is going to. So this is for cocoa, sesame, ginger, and the likes. And for voluntary standard, I've mentioned they are mostly for required by individual companies, individual markets, retailer. They make mention of it. Like Burger King now, maybe if I want to supply Burger King some commodity in Nigeria, Burger King can now require some voluntary standard like global gap from me, maybe primary local gap from me, that okay, for them to buy my product in Burger King or use it in their menu, I have to have a local gap certification. So that is a voluntary standard. So, and for the voluntary standard, we have different categories, but mainly we have the farm level and the processing one. And for the farm level, at the voluntary standard, the global gap certification, fair trade certification, organic certification, rainforest, and UEBT. These are all voluntary standard, and they are for farm level. So they implement it at the producers level. Like when you are producing your crop, you are the one that actually implement it. However, some of them, most of all of them, have what we call chain of custody. Chain of custody are like traders. They are not actually, they don't have a farm, but they are buying from farmers that are already certified. I might not be able to go deep into this and some of the example of voluntary standards and their focus. These are the key focus of global gap, like food sustainability and environmental sustainability. So these are also UEBT. They also have their focus because it's a voluntary standard, and they all have their focus. We have the rainforest. We have the rainforest certification. We have the organic certification. For the organic, and after complying with the involuntary standard, you are looking at niche market, you can consider that. We have the fair trade, and for the processing level, this one are basically for processing. We have the HACCP. That is after you have purchased and you want to ensure that okay, you have you want to show that your handling practices are very, very good. So you have to go through HACCP, ISO 22000 and FSSC 22000. Those are the ones. And as I conclude, quality in a product or service is not what supplier puts in, it is what the consumer gets out and is willing to pay. So most consumers are willing to pay for quality food. And that is why you are seeing that increase in the number of certified products in the world, because more consumers are asking for beyond involuntary standard. They are actually looking at products that are safe. That is involuntary, but consumers are looking for products that have an human side. Human side simply means product that they ensure that the workers are well paid. They want to ensure that the product they've not used child labor to produce them. And these things actually make them see like, okay, the quality of this product beyond safety. Yeah, quality is what we can see. So that is the reason why you see them using label. They can see the label. So based on the label, they're like, oh, this product has good quality. Yeah, apart from, it tastes well, it tastes good, there's an environmental side, there's a social side of it. There is a way that, okay, they produce this food not in a deforestation area. They did not deforest, or there was no deforestation being carried out before they planted this product. So this actually consumers are willing to pay, and it keeps increasing because there are new demands every day. There are new demands every day from the consumers, and they are willing to pay for it. And by adhering to quality control measured and export market requirements, Nigerian agribusiness can confidently explore and seize export opportunities. So before I round up, I'll just give a case study of a project we did for 5 years where, apart from we are ensuring food safety and quality, there is also a side of the other quality that consumers want, which is for hibiscus and ginger. It was for a client that was exporting to EU. What they were able to achieve was rainforest certification and UEBT, Union Vertical Boundary, for hibiscus. For the EU market, yes, they know that they are complying with all the mandatory standard, but there's a voluntary standard. The market is, yes, when the market sees a product, it's just a conventional product. They are not sure where is this food being grown. Was it grown in a deforested area? Was it grown with child labor? Was it grown with forced laborers? Were the workers well paid? And what about the environment? Where the production, the means in which they produce the food, did they destroy the environment or what? So they are interested in seeing that, and that was why we actually helped to implement the project for rainforest. And consecutively for 5 years, we were able to achieve UEBT RA certification for the export market. We also be able to achieve organic certification for that commodity, and also we were able to achieve HACCP, which is for the processing. So after we've collected the product from the farm, what happens to it? They want to be sure that we have identified all the hazard throughout the process, and for the hazard, we're able to ensure that this hazard does not occur throughout the production process. And this actually gives an assurance that apart from the safety of this food, and as far as the quality of this food, one key thing also, there's an human side of food production. Thank you so much. Please, any question? Okay, Razak Fatai, please. You have the mic.
All right. Thank you so much for that presentation, sir. There's a question currently. Someone is asking, I'm aware Nigeria hibiscus flower is restricted in some countries. Oh, sorry, I think that question has been addressed. I don't think this.
Yes, somebody is raising their hand. Abba.
Okay.
Just allowed to talk. Okay, Abba, please.
About it? Okay. Have they answered the question with hibiscus? Because hibiscus is not restricted. I think the only restriction is Mexico, and Mexico have asked that for you to export to Mexico, you have to use methyl bromide, and there's a process for that. So I think that is the only where Nigerian hibiscus has been restricted, and it's because of methyl bromide. And the reason why many exporters don't want to use methyl bromide is methyl bromide is a banned chemical internationally. So it means that if I actually pass my product through methyl bromide, can only sell it to Mexico. I can't sell it to any other country again. So it restricts me from from exploring other market except Mexico market. So that is I think the challenge with the hibiscus. Okay, Abba, please, you have the mic. Can Abba have the mic?
Yeah, he has the mic already, so
okay, please. Yes.
If he's not talking, I want to assume that this session people do not have much question then.
I think Razak Fatai is raising up his hand.
Oh, okay. Razak, you have the mic, or is that by mistake?
I think he raises hand again.
It's a mistake. Maybe something is raising my hand. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Babatunde. I believe you've treated the section very, very well. Many times people talk about, oh, Nigeria export is banned, we cannot go to this. And for a number of people, like I said at the start of this session, like the conversation we've had today is not, you don't get these kind of conversations a lot of time to help you understand the market, like the regulatory. Most people see the regulatory requirement from the custom. The only thing they know most times when it comes to export challenge is custom, right? They don't, the other parts where services like what Food Talks offer in terms of quality control that give them less worry, they don't always have that kind of information. And like I mentioned earlier, while I was talking about some commodities, right, and the market, which I think you've also mentioned, Netherlands, which is a very good destination. There's a quality control that you need to be able to go there, and that's why, for a number of people, they are left with Pakistan and those countries that may just not care about what you are selling. But if you want to earn better, you want to make better trade partners, you know that you need to up the standard of your produce, right? I mentioned about handling, and I'm glad that you have a pictorial representation. You cannot want to. I was looking at cassava transportation the other day, and on top of the cassava, you have tire, people sitting down, another set of crop. This automatically pressed the fruit, right? Automatically press the tuber, which if you reach where you're supposed to deliver it and they weigh it again, you now see variation in the weight. You'll say, oh, it's 50 kg from my side. How can you say it's now 47 kg? And these are the issues that is typically apply during the transportation. I believe Abba is probably raising his hand by mistake, so we would let you have your way, since you said you have another engagement now. Brenda, over back to you for the next session.